1993, Doom proved to be a juggernaut of power when it came to running on the PC. John Carmack once again proved to us why his programming skills were basically black magic. If you wanted to get the full Doom experience, you needed a PC capable of running this behemoth of a game. And they weren't cheap. But many game companies saw an inexpensive alternative: port the game to various consoles. This is a big undertaking. Did you not just hear my over-exaggerated statement about Carmack using black magic? Getting a perfect port wasn't easy, but many companies made a decent attempt. There was a plethora of Doom ports on the market during the mid-90s. Some good, some adequate, and some that, get a gold star for existing, I guess. So when Midway released its version of Doom for the Nintendo 64, many thought it was just another Doom port. Oh boy, were they wrong! Doom 64 is a brand new game. Well, okay, it does use a modified version of the Doom engine, but this is not the same Doom game you're accustomed to. Gone was the rocking, heavy metal soundtrack. Gone were the bright and colorful, well, mostly brown and green, landscapes. The game decides to throw you into a dark, nightmarish world filled with ambient noise, a chilling soundtrack, and gothic architecture. This was Doom taken to the next level. At the time, fans were off-put by its dreary setting, but now a lot of them look back on it with fond memories. In fact, it's considered the true Doom 3, as it brings closure to the original series, but takes it in a new, eerie direction while still retaining the heart-pounding action we've come to expect from this franchise. Is it worthy of the Doom name? Let's find out! Akin to the previous entries, the story is bare minimal. Picking up where Doom 2 ended, demons are back. You have to go find them, boom goes Demon's head. You get the idea. Although the ending, while simplistic, is bittersweet. I won't ruin it, but let's just say that in retrospect, it may tie into a Doom game we'll be looking at later. Some people might consider this game non-canon. It wasn't developed in-house by id, but they did supervise the project, and the story does feel like a proper continuation. I don't know, I feel like this one just brought the series full circle in my opinion. But since when have these classic Doom games been about story, right? You want to get to the good stuff. Like I said, the game has a much darker tone, in both senses of the word. Rooms use scattered light sources, leaving them just enough to give a sense of dread, and in outside areas you'll sometimes have to rely on candles or the ominous sky to light your way. The choices for lighting are creative, using certain blues, yellows, and reds to give this world an unearthly quality. Thanks to the N64's graphical capabilities, the world feels more alive compared to the original games, which, while impressive for their time, weren't true 3D. With Doom 64, everything pops out a lot more. Sure, the N64's graphics haven't aged well, the environments can look blockish, and the use of sprites can be jarring. But in a weird way, it works. Hell is supposed to be unnatural. Fear and anxiety can develop from the unknown. Nothing is familiar to us. We don't feel safe. It forces us to stay alert. So the older graphics contribute to the atmosphere. Plus, I love the gothic art style. It enhances the overall foreboding nature of the visuals. But, let's be honest, the game can be too dark at times. Playing this on the N64 back in the day was a hassle. At least you can turn up the brightness to elevate the issue somewhat. Modern source ports help with the issue, but not being able to see at crucial moments does hurt the game overall. Either way, they did a great job at updating the visuals for Doom. Some of the character models are a bit strange though. Why does the Caco demon have arms? It doesn't even use them. What was wrong with making a more menacing reskin of the original? Don't you know it's proud to be armless? Why force this change? you'll just distress the poor thing. Some changes do work. I might despise the pain elementals, but its design here looks a lot more unique. It comes across as some hellish abomination of indistinguishable design instead of a cacodemon that's come from the bowels of a constipated cyber demon. Only the classiest commentary on this channel, folks. The sprite work is hit or miss, but it does fit with the game's overall dark ambient mood. Speaking of ambience, the game's soundtrack was composed by Aubrey Hodges, who previously worked on the PlayStation version of Doom. In my eyes, he's an underrated video game composer. His music is drenched in spine-tingling terror, coupled with a calming, bleak undertone. Not only does its harrowing notes send shivers down your spine, but there's also ambient sound effects to heighten the terror. Damn, does his music work well for this game. The best horror is the kind that crawls under your skin and never leaves. There's something morbid, yet hypnotizing about his music, like it pulls you into a world of eternal damnation, where you're forced to hear suffering ring throughout your ear canal. It's so effective. Combined with the visuals, Doom 64 manages to make you feel unnerved during the entire playthrough. Would recommend shutting off the lights for this game. While Doom 64 is refreshing in terms of its style and atmosphere, the gameplay is similar to the previous entries. All the familiar weapons are here. You face the same monsters, minus a few due to technical limitations. You track down key cards, same old song and dance. Aside from a new final boss, there is one new weapon, the Unmaker. Interesting tidbit, this weapon was planned for the original Doom, but was scrapped. Nice to see it here. I think it's a great addition. On its own, you'll find it to be inefficient, but through some secret hunting, you can make it stronger, and it's far more powerful than the BFG 9000. Blasphemy! A little disappointed it's the only new weapon, but with so many gameplay elements already pushing the N64 to its limit, it's not an issue. If you can get over the, at times, faint lighting, you'll find that the level design is pretty good. Yeah, this once overlooked Doom game has some of the best levels in the series. It combines the claustrophobic environments of the first game with the large, open-ended areas of the second. I see it as a perfect marriage between the two. There's just a profusion of imagination in the designs. Some levels have you visiting giant castle-like structures. Well, hey, I'm a fan of castles, so that's a plus right there. What? We all have our strange hobbies, internet. Do I have to Google all your interesting hobbies? Anyway, I like the structures because they have multiple floors to them, with interwoven pathways that are placed with meticulous care. Everything just clicks with these levels. They're big enough for you to explore, but you don't feel overwhelmed wandering too far from your path. And there are a lot of imaginative set pieces for monster battles. But then we reach the last 2/3 of the game. I don't know what it is, something about the level design becomes dull. They're my least favorite part of the game. Maybe because they become too maze-like, or some of the puzzles are tedious to solve. It loses its flair, which is unfortunate. This game comes so close to being as good as the original, but the last few levels feel like a slog to get through. They weren't fun for me. Oh, and you thought my castle obsession was weird? This game seems to have a fetish for Hell Knights, and this is years before someone decided they need more holes in H-Doom. Like I said in the previous video, I enjoy battling the Hell Knights, but when you have an overabundance of them, it just gets monotonous, especially when you're traveling down narrow hallways. You find yourself having to stop and contend with them. It gets redundant after a while. Other than that, Doom 64 is still a top-notch first-person shooter. If you haven't guessed, it's my second favorite game in the series. This felt like the next step in the franchise's evolution. While it's the same game at its core, the risks they took paid off. Its dark, foreboding atmosphere left an impact with fans. We got something different, but familiar at the same time. If you want the true Doom 64 experience, head on over to eBay to snag a copy. Or if you want to play the game on your PC with high quality visuals and a mouse and keyboard setup, check out the Doom 64 Retribution mod for Doom 2. And of course, for those of you that want hyper-violence in your spooky horror shooter, Brutal Doom 64 will satisfy your morbid appetite. Approved by Dr. Hannibal Lecter. Running jokes! Easily recommend this game. In my eyes, it might take the silver medal, but that's still a pretty good honor. Keep your head high, Doom 64. Keep your head high.